Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are starting off the cut since nobody really commented on what they wanted to start off with. So I'm just going to be going kind of by how I want to start, and of course you guys can just follow along. If you guys kind of need to start off with a reverse diet instead, I mean that's going to be made in the future, so you can still try to go along with me if you want to, and if not, then of course you can always just wait for that. However, I mean, it's still worth trying this stuff because you're gonna definitely need to have an idea of like what you're eating, how much you're eating, and all that, which is what we're gonna go over today. And that's just going to be basically to find your maintenance calories that you usually eat within a day. So basically just like pretty much how much you eat every single day, like calorie wise. So for this first week, which is going to be of course 7 days, for 7 days you're going to be just tracking down all of your food and how many times a day you exercise, for how long, and then also like what type of exercises you're doing. So for the exercises, you just kind of want to put, oh, I exercised for 30 minutes 2 times out of the week, and I did strength, so basically just weights for one day, and I did high intensity exercise for another day. So you're just kind of being a little bit more specific, so you can kind of get an idea of like how much cardio you're doing, how much strength you're building, kind of just to get an idea where you're starting off with. So then whenever we move along in the future, you kind of know how to adjust better because you know what you have already been doing, and just to kind of make it easier on yourself. So then also for the food, I'll also be showing you guys a little video of what I recorded, just kind of like to track your progress on your food every day, to kind of keep you from trying to like purposely eat less while you're doing this, because some people will start to become aware, of course, how much you're eating, and if you get a little like more conscious about it, then of course you might be trying to reduce that. So to avoid that, I would recommend kind of just like taking note of how much you're eating throughout like the day, maybe like on paper, just on your pen, and then later in the day when you're done, just going ahead and plugging it all in together for that day in the app. So we want to definitely try to track the food as much like accurately as like possible. So to do that, what you will need is probably a scale, or just like a very small kitchen scale is fine. And so yeah, just a kitchen scale, and it's just to like kind of practice. You start getting used to the idea of like how much meat you're actually eating, like ounces and grams and cups are like the best 3 options to use when you're going to be tracking them in your app. Of course, you can always use like a conversion app as well if you need any more like help with that, but usually I like to just kind of keep 2 ounces, grams if it's like a very small amounts, and also just cups for like, I don't know, rice, and like kind of bigger amounts, I guess you could say. Another thing that's actually easier to do is that on the apps they have a little like barcode like picture, and if you click on that and you have the package with you, you could just easily just scan it with your picture on your phone, and it'll automatically like use the same amount of calories it has and everything, and all you have to do is just plug in about how much you like ate out of that bag, you know. So that's just like a lot easier to do in my opinion. Of course, if you don't have the barcode, you're gonna be kind of guesstimating, so you're gonna be guesstimating a lot of this stuff, especially if you go to like restaurants, and the restaurants are gonna make it a lot harder to kind of get that information. So it's gonna take a little bit more time to do those restaurant ones, unless you already know how much like protein you're eating and stuff like that. So if you already kind of get used to the scale amounts of protein, like let's say I ate about this much of like meat on my plate at a restaurant, and I already know from practice at home how much about 4 ounces is. And this is actually probably more about like 5 to 6 ounces of meat. So I would put like more like 5.5 or something like that if I feel like it's in between both. But you just kind of want to get as close as you can as possible. And of course, if you can find the nutritional guide online, it's going to be a little bit time consuming because it's going to be for that specific restaurant. Sometimes they don't have it, but if you can find it, it's going to help a lot, so you can kind of get a better idea of how much you're actually eating to like guesstimate it. So yeah, let me see. Just, you know, if you're going to go to a restaurant, you can also just look at the menus online and kind of like see how much you're going to eat, or like maybe what you're planning on getting, and you can kind of try to like practice. Like let's say you're planning on eating meat at a restaurant, you can have some, if you have some meat or something at home and you're using your scale, you can just kind of place some meat on there and you can kind of get an idea of how much they are. A lot of people like to practice with their hands, so you can kind of see like, oh, if I put like this much of meat on there, chicken or whatever, you'll see how much ounces it is going to be, and you kind of just get used to like the amount sizes, and so you can have a better guesstimation when you're at the restaurants compared to having to look for them and everything. So I mean, of course it's going to be easier if you just have the scale at home and you just make your food at home, and you can just quickly just place them on there. Make sure if you have your plate on the scale to tear it or press like, it'll either say tear or like 0, and just put your plate and press that button, and it's going to like zero out the weight so that you can kind of start over. So you have the plate and it'll be 0, and then whenever you place your food, it's going to actually just weigh out the food that you added on top of your plate, not the plate and your food. So that's going to be a lot, you know, for the people who don't know how to use scales. So that's pretty much it for this week. Just make sure you're tracking at least 7 days, because in the next video I'm going to be telling you guys what we're going to do with that 7 days of calories and whatnot, so then we can kind of start the actual progress of cutting and stuff like that. So let me see if I've missed anything, just to be sure real quick. Oh, so the apps that you can use are like MyFitnessPal if you eat a lot of carb type things. If you don't, you can use like Carb Manager, which is one I use. I do kind of go back and forth sometimes, so I use both of them. I just have both of them in handy. Sometimes one might have something that the other one doesn't. Usually Carb Manager doesn't have that much compared to MyFitnessPal, so that's one of the reasons why I do like MyFitnessPal, because there's just so many more like options. So let's say Carb Manager didn't have one and MyFitnessPal did, I will then go to their, you know, use their information and find the amount of calories, since I have all my other stuff on this one. And if I still want to use Carb Manager because I have all my other stuff already written on it, I then use the same amount of calories and I find something similar on Carb Manager and then just make it fit the same amount of calories. Just kind of make it, you know, accurate. And that way I'm not like having to use a billion different apps, and just for one day we can just all plug it into one and use the other one whenever it's necessary. So if you guys happen to miss a day, just of course continue another day just to make sure you're getting the full 7 days, so that we can actually start what we're going to be doing in the next video. So it might take you a little bit longer than me, because I am going to be a little bit ahead of you guys, just so you guys can follow along as you need to go, and then you'll kind of get an idea of what you're going to be doing next. But just like try to do the 7 days so that you know, you can just get it done, get started. And just a quick reminder, just make sure you're not changing your food habits. You are not purposely trying to eat less while you're doing this. This is just fully like what you do in a natural daily basis without thought, so that we can get an accurate representation of what we're actually eating and how many calories we're going to be at. Because if we try to mess it up by reducing anything, then we're just going to like not have, I guess, a good start to it, and it's gonna be harder probably. If you eat less on purpose, you're gonna eat even less later, so it's gonna be harder on you as a person, and your body's gonna be probably like maybe a little bit freaked out. So we just want to make sure, like I said, going as accurate as possible. We're not changing anything just for this first week. And I will see you guys in the next video, and I will update you guys on what we'll be doing with that information. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So thank you for watching, and make sure to give a like or subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I really appreciate those who watch my channel, so thank you so much, and I'll see you later.